Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Okay, let's start with the obvious one everyone wants to know. Who's going to play quarterback for the Saints Sunday against Washington?
I would be pretty surprised if it's not Jake Haener. I think we've gotten hints reporting-wise, but also if I was just making the guess based on common sense and intuition, there's no reason why it wouldn't be his turn after Spencer Rattler didn't put a stranglehold on the job and got benched and replaced by Haener, and Haener remained the number two. Bresee came in, and if he wanted to make a change then, he probably would have made a change then, didn't. So I'm going to guess Haener for all those reasons, although, part of the reason being they are still operating as a team that, is making every decision based on 2024 right now. If he loses a couple games, they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. I would not rule out then, hey, let's get him a couple more looks at Rattler. But that's up to Haener to try to hold that at bay.
So, how do you feel about that if they do go to Haener instead of back to Rattler? I mean, the 3-game sample size, it's not a very large sample size to make a decision on Rattler.
Yeah, it doesn't end Rattler's future. It doesn't end the hope for Rattler's career or any of those things. I would say, though, I never fully understood, and it was never fully explained why they did the silly thing that Haener was the number two. But then when it came time to actually start a guy, they went with Rattler. I mean, I don't know if some of that is political. I don't know if that is some people's feelings. I don't know if that's hierarchy and pecking order and, how you manage a depth chart. I don't know what it is. But I do know that after Rattler started those 3 games, if you wanted to be like, all right, no, look, let's continue to develop. Let's get him ready to play some more. The best thing for him would have been to continue to have him stay as the number 2 from that point forward. Throwing him back in here now after he has been inactive for the last 5 weeks, I mean, it just wouldn't make any sense to me. Like, you haven't been getting him ready to be the next man up. So, I don't know that it would behoove Rattler to get thrown back in with a choppy, the way that they're doing it. So now he'll be the backup for a couple weeks. Maybe we'll see him again before the season is over. Still a lot of possibilities as far as that goes. But Haener's the guy they've been grooming to be one snap away, and he's been one snap away. He's entered 3 games over the last 5 weeks. Go with the guy you've been preparing for this, I think, in this situation. I don't want to, give up on Rattler's future. I get the idea of wanting to see more of Rattler heading into next year, but you don't have to throw him in this week to satisfy that.
I mean, I don't think there's an answer to this question, but maybe just an update to what you know. What about Derek Carr? Like, do we see him again this year?
Yeah, I mean, they're not putting him on IR, and I think part of that is, they want to keep hope alive that they're still relevant. If they pull out some miracle wins, if the Buccaneers keep losing, whatever, they're not going to just end the possibility of that. I would think if they do get eliminated from the playoffs, I would think, in the next week or two while he's recovering, I would think, well, it doesn't make a lot of sense to bring him back at that point, although Week 17 is against the Raiders, which will obviously mean a lot to him. So I think they're keeping all that alive, but I would say they would. I would expect to see him again if they were still alive. If they pull off a surprise win here, definitely if they pull off a surprise win in Green Bay, and then they have 2 winnable games to finish the season, I would expect to see Derek Carr before the season's over. Way more of a mystery if they actually get finally mathematically eliminated, and you can't help but say, all right, this is about 2025 now.
Specifically for this weekend with the Commanders, it would obviously help whichever quarterback is playing. If Alvin Kamara is there, hasn't practiced because of illness, are we expecting Kamara to be ready on Sunday?
I got the impression that, I don't even know that I'd be putting this word. I can't remember if Rizzy said it this way. I can't remember if sources said it this way, but like just an illness, I got it as, it's just an illness. Like that's the impression I had in my mind, meaning like oh no, it's a very concerning illness. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not how I've understood it. But yeah, I think we need to see him on the practice field Friday before we, otherwise we're going to have some reason for legitimate concern there. But I would assume it is, typically when we see these kind of things, it is just a couple of days. So till and they come back. So, definitely be looking to see if he's practicing tomorrow. And if he's not, maybe there is reason for concern.
Mike Triplett's with us, neworleans.football, on Twitter at Mike Triplett. What did you make of Kendre Miller's return on Sunday?
He was very good. It's funny that when you look at the stat line, he had 10 carries for 32 yards, which is crazy because two of those runs were for 8 yards each. So he was, along with Alvin Kamara, a victim to the worst this run game has looked all year. Very, very disappointing against the team that it looked like they should have been able to run the ball easily against. So very disappointing. But no, Kendre Miller, he looks like he's shot out of a cannon. He's got that extra power. He's got that extra desire. He, turns short runs into long runs. But that's been true every time we've seen him. Like, we did not need to see Kendre Miller's upside again. Every time he's on the field, we see his upside. We need to see consistency. We need to see longevity. We need to see durability. And so hopefully that is something we do see over the course of 5 weeks and feel a lot better about his chances going forward next year.
If there is a guy that the Saints drafted that maybe there's reason for optimism around, it's probably Brian Bresee. Had another great game. 7.5 sacks, blocked the field goal. What should we make of the progress that Brian Bresee has made this year, from literally not starting a game last year as a rookie to now 7.5 sacks and being a pretty impactful guy here?
Yeah, you could say he didn't start last year, but I considered him a starter. He actually might have ended up, I should look this up, but with the most snaps of any defensive tackle last year, even though he wasn't starting. And obviously he's in on the money downs, the pass rush downs. And that is still something he has to prove, that he's not just good on pass rush downs and a liability on run downs. And he's gotten a little better as a run defender, but it's still not his strength. Like Pro Football Focus hates him, when they grade every snap he plays and everything like that. But look, if that's what you're going to be, if you're going to be a guy who's a really good pass rusher and trying to get good enough to be, not a liability against the run, well, then you better be a really good pass rusher. And we're seeing signs that he is. If you can he's making 2 to 3 impact plays a game. In this game, it was 4+, but he's making 2 to 3 big impact plays a game with a pressure or a sack. You get that from the defensive tackle position, that helps his team quite a bit. If we write the 22-man starting lineup for the next year or two, there aren't a lot of names you're writing in ink, and it feels like he's one of the ones you can start writing in ink now, which this team needs a lot more of.
Couple more for you. Specifically on Sunday, they'll obviously face the Commanders, and Jayden Daniels is a good running quarterback. And anytime the Saints face a running quarterback, we all think the same thing, because the Saints have been really bad at defending running quarterbacks. Any reason to believe they'll be any better defending this running quarterback on Sunday?
Well, the funny thing is that's been a talking point since Sean Payton was the head coach.
Yep.
And we've been waiting to see, have you finally gotten any better at this? Are you finally going to do anything different this time around? And I remember, was it last year? It was that they were supposed to play Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson, and those guys got hurt. They didn't face either one of them, and so they never really faced one of those true running quarterbacks. And then this year, Jalen Hurts they had in week 3, and they did a pretty decent job against Jalen Hurts in that game. So the jury is still kind of out. I don't look at things like letting Drew Lock scramble for 59 yards as the same as when you're defending Lamar Jackson or you're defending Jayden Daniels, because you're not game planning for that. That's just kind of happening because no one else was open, and then you lost containment. But so I'm kind of curious to see if they have any answers, but I'm not optimistic because that was a big storyline when they had like the number 1 run defense in the NFL. And they just had this one weird quirk where they couldn't stop running quarterbacks. Now they have a pretty lousy run defense. And I'm not super optimistic that they can stop good running backs or good running quarterbacks.
Get him at Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Chat brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. Actually rolled into Benny's today. Super easy. When you are the Wash Club member, the Unlimited, you just have the little sticker on your vehicle. You pull into the Unlimited Club bay, and you just boom right in. It's so easy. Like, I would recommend it to anybody. Go to bennyscarwash.com. Great Christmas gift as well. Okay, do the Saints have anything left to play for?
Well, look, I mean, we can roll our eyes at they're only 2 games back in the NFC South, and they get to play Tampa Bay in Week 18. We can roll our eyes at that because we don't think they're going to beat Washington and Green Bay. But do they have anything left to play for? Yeah, trying to beat Washington and Green Bay. I mean, like, it's not hard for them to get up for this game if they shock the world and win as 7-point underdogs at home. Then maybe they're 1 game behind Tampa. Like, I mean, they get to play them at the end of the season. Like, if this was a functioning, healthy team, we'd be looking at the standings and saying, hey, it's, the map is there. But, you've got to be good enough to win. And I think that game that they won last week was one of their worst performances of the season. It certainly felt like a loss. So, yes, they have something to play for, but, should they have optimism they can beat Washington and Green Bay? Obviously, that is very hard to come by right now.
Mike Triplett, neworleans.football, on Twitter at Mike Triplett. And, of course, our chats all throughout the season are brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. Go get your gift cards at bennyscarwash.com, bennyscarwash.com. All right, Mike, we appreciate it, man. Thanks. We'll talk next week.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.